Alright, and we are rolling.
Almost said we are live, huh?
Yeah, but that was gonna be super cheesy. So, this may be the first podcast or fight breakdown that we're doing. Hopefully first of many. And today we're gonna go over the UFC 229, Khabib versus McGregor. And we're gonna give our picks, thoughts, and analysis on this. But to kick things off, I think we should talk about some breaking news.
Breaking news it is.
Alright, so you heard about what happened. When did it happen? A couple days ago? It's pretty breaking. But Sijara Eubanks versus Valentina Shevchenko has been announced for UFC 230 as the main event. In case anybody hasn't heard it by now, Sijara Eubanks, who is 3-2 in the UFC, is going to fight Valentina Shevchenko for the 125 title.
Yeah, that's a joke and a half.
You know, I mean, I haven't been this disappointed for a card since UFC 151. And that card never happened, so...
Yeah.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think the shitty thing about it is the fact that they have the perfect, I think, headlining fight with Joanna and Valentina Shevchenko. You can't tell me there's two women outside of Ronda Rousey that people are, on about.
Right. It has a lot of story behind it. I mean, it made so much sense because, yeah, only one fighter has won in those fights, but that was not an MMA, which changes everything, as we all know.
And I haven't watched them, but from all accounts, or it's actually a mixed account. Some people say Valentina smoked her. Other people say it was extremely close fight. So I think it probably, Valentina may have caught her a few times because she's super good at countering, and Joanna likes to march in.
Yeah.
But this is a major ball droppage on the UFC's end for not even thinking of finalizing or trying to push through with that fight.
And even Joe Rogan, of course, who's a UFC employee, was blown away. I saw him. He said that he doesn't even know who Eubanks is.
Dude, the only reason I know her is because I watched Tough specifically for Roxanne Modafferi.
Oh, of course.
The season she was on was the season that Sijara Eubanks was on. Actually, scratch that. The second reason I know her is because she was supposed to fight Nico, but she ended up missing weight, week of.
So she's got nothing good going for her, and somehow she's got that championship fight coming up.
Yeah, I don't know. See, the only way I could see this fight ever making sense being booked is because some rational logic is that she was once given a title shot, and now she's coming back to fight again. She should be given another shot at fighting for the title because she has a win over Lauren Murphy. I mean, do the math on that one. It doesn't make sense to me. If anything, they're just trying to showcase Valentina because outside of Priscilla Cachoeira and some parts of the home fight, honestly, Valentina isn't that threatening of a fighter.
No. I don't know. I just can't understand the call they made there. And yeah, maybe she had a title shot once, but so what? If TJ Grant came back, would we just give him an automatic title shot?
Dude, I don't think people know who TJ Grant even is anymore.
Right, he's been out for a little while. It's kind of a tragic story. We're just kind of going through a sad story.
It is. Last I heard, he's coaching.
Grant.
So, I mean, yeah, last I heard, Grant's coaching.
Well, and yeah, they both had to fall back to what they love, but can't do 100%
Dude,
of, I guess.
I know. And so, like, I kind of want to segue into something else now. And because we're going to be talking about Habib versus Connor, and someone who is like, who personifies that Russian steel mentality is Habib. But like, ever since Connor dropped that bombshell with the like your snitch terrorist, your terrorist snitch manager, whichever way he worded it, I think a lot more light has been shown in Habib's direction, and he seemed to be handling it well. But my question is like, how well has he handled it?
Yeah, that's kind of I mean, you can find any sort of YouTube video online, and they'll break it down in one way or the other. Like, there's just a million different ways it can be broken down from professionals. I personally
Well,
think it's going to damage him at all. I think he's just going to come into that fight not giving a fuck about it, honestly.
yeah. Yeah, I just think that because Habib is an extremely loyal person, his loyalty is going to cause him to maybe be a little more distracted than usual because of all the heat that Ali Abdelaziz is attracting right now. And I've done some digging around and found the dude who originally broke the story on Ali like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
And he broke this story years ago, but this was back when Ali was still working for WSOF, doing matchmaking and whatnot.
right.
And he's done a bunch of different shady things, and like, I think it's going to be an interesting future if Habib does retain and still keeps Ali as his manager and still doesn't, and the UFC still doesn't say anything. Mainly
Right.
because, mainly because the fact that he's been caught for embezzlement. He's been caught as like doing a bunch of different things that honestly he should be disbarred and banned from being able to manage people. Period.
Yeah, he's got a real sketchy background, and Conor McGregor bringing up the whole Noah thing. That hits home. That's personal stuff, too.
Well,
So,
do you know the story with Noah? From what I've
yeah,
been gathering, like Noah isn't his only son. First of all, I guess he's got a few kids out there that he's never talked to, never tried to talk to, never done anything for, and it's on like record. You can look up public record of how much child support he's paid and how much he has to pay, right? He went from paying like he was originally supposed to pay like between 400 to 450, and now he's paying less than that, and he still doesn't even pay it.
yeah, the dude just seems, I mean, he just seems like absolute scum, let's be honest. But,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
it'd
is
be
kind of scum.
really interesting to see how Khabib, like, continues with that relationship. Personally, I think he's a manager you should drop anyway. He just seems like an idiot. I mean, just all throughout the years, his little beefs, he'd start with fighters. I mean, it might be genius to some fighters, or some people might think it's genius because then they're like, oh, this beef is why Khabib got this fight. But I don't know. He just seems like that manager that goes a little too far into the press, into the spotlight.
Yeah, like it's almost like he wants to fight for his fighters.
Right.
Like it's
Like,
almost like when he shit talks, it's like he lives vicariously through his fighters.
right. It's almost like
It's the
he's
most.
willing to go out there and fight because, or willing to say all that stuff because he's got a fighter protecting him. I mean, who was it? It was Edmund Rousey's Travis Brown's coach when he
Oh
was
my
up there
god.
during the Travis Brown fight with Brendan Schaub, and he was sitting there right behind Brown, like screaming like he was about to fight Schaub. I thought that was ridiculous.
Oh my god, dude!
That's
I
on Twitter.
there. See that guy? Like honestly, that guy is just. He's like a saint compared to Ali, though. Like
It's
I would
true.
rather take a. I would take a.
Just,
I
they're
would
just
take
both idiots.
extremely right. I would take extremely incompetent, delusional coach over someone who just like rips people off horribly and plays people like. I guess for me, looking at it, my thing is I'm concerned about like Habib and how he's gonna like end his career
Right.
because like a guy like Ali clearly doesn't care, and so he's going to use Habib to further his own money and his own gain. So like, I mean, who's to say he isn't gonna hide any sort of lingering injuries? He isn't gonna hide if Habib got knocked out in training camp. You know, there's so much sketchy shit that this guy can do.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently when he was like managing for Rick Hahn, he told Bellator that they would pull out the day of if they didn't get this much money.
Wow.
Yeah, this was like for the Chandler fight.
That's ridiculous. I would have fired
That's
then and there.
that's almost I believe that could be like breach of contract.
Yeah. No, apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently this Eubanks fight with Valentina, announcing that was a break of contract or breach of contract for Johanna. I saw her say that they actually broke a fight contract or agreement.
Uh-huh.
So I'm interested to see if like there was an actual fight agreement already signed and then they broke it.
Oh. You know what? That might have made sense because like oh shit, who was it? Fucking Megan Anderson put out there that she was gonna fight Cyborg before it was made official, and then they scrapped that fight immediately.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
remember that. She came out big and she's like, "I'm fighting Cyborg," and everyone's like, "What?" And then UFC's like, "No,
Nope,
no,
not
you're not.
happening.
Cyborg who? Stay in Invicta." God, no, like it's. I still can't get over the fact that they even if it was like a breach of contract, I still think they should have gone through with it. Like you're gonna tell me that that wouldn't just like generate buys by itself, like just this little snippet that says, yeah, these two are officially gonna fight. Two of the best female strikers are
Right.
gonna fight.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still upset about that. And it's
Yeah,
the
it's
main
kind of
event
nuts.
too. What?
I think the only way UFC is going to credibly make this happen is if somehow they make. I doubt it will happen, but I would love to see it. Like to make pay-per-view buys spike if this one does well. To make Poirier and Diaz the inaugural 165 championship fight. That way, depending on whoever loses in this main event, like if Conor wins, he's gonna be a triple champ, dog.
Right.
You're gonna tell me UFC's not gonna pass up the chance to have a triple champ?
Hell, Connor loses, they're probably
Oh,
going to try to push that.
okay. Not only that, but if say they make an inaugural 165 championship fight,
And
and then Diaz wins, not only do they have their third Diaz fight, but add a title fight.
yeah.
I doubt any of that would happen, but to me, that would be the business move because people are talking about 165, and it's a division that has made sense for a while now.
Yeah, the 155 to 170 jump is just a little big. I mean, people don't realize it, but if you've done weight cuts and stuff, those few pounds make such a difference.
They do. Like that's why, I mean, even in boxing has a 160 weight range.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
all the sports have a 160 weight range. None of them have that huge of a jump. So I
Right.
don't get why. I
Yeah.
don't
And
get why they
UFC.
have these.
Yeah. If UFC did it, then pretty much every other league, like every other promotion, would probably follow suit because, I mean, they want that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just also think that like it would it would just be so much more economical, and the fact that you're not going to have so many 155ers missing weight, so many 170 guys like coming in super small.
Oh yeah, and we could see some of
Yeah.
the lower tier welterweights and lower tier lightweights possibly prove to us that they're actually a lot better than what we've been seeing because maybe that weight class just really wasn't for them, you know. So we might see some of the lower tier fighters become some of the best fighters just because they're fighting in the right weight. They're not draining themselves too much or fighting too high up in weight. Be a really
This
interesting showing, that's for sure.
so like speaking of weight cutting to kind of segue into this to the breakdown and go over the card. I say we start from top, our bottom going to top. And this first fight is actually kind of a perfect example of what we're talking about for weight cutting. Tony Martin, I researched his fights recently. He last fought at 155.
Really?
Yeah, and I believe he was on a little bit of a streak. TLA. So he was on a bit of a streak, and then got out wrestled by uh, Olivia Albon Mercier. And I watched it. It was a fairly competitive fight, but once Albon got him against the cage, he was able to maul him and really just overwork him because he's a solid lightweight. Like he's like a tree stump of a lightweight, and he was able to just smash him up against the cage and just outworked him for 3 rounds.
Right.
Like the third round, Tony came alive and made it competitive and had his back for most of it, which is why it ended up a split decision. But he was clearly out wrestled, clearly. And I think after that, yeah, he moved up to lightweight or once welterweight. Fought Kita Nakamura, who's kind of I don't know, dude. I haven't really followed a lot of these Japanese fighters. A lot of people can hate on me, but I don't really follow the Japanese fighters in UFC because most of them fizzle out.
Yeah, they do. They fizzle out decently fast. And me being half Asian, of course, I'm always trying to support any Asian fighter.
Dude,
But
I want to support them too,
unfortunately, they
but
do. They fizzle out.
they have like, or they will be extremely good but rarely fight.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna be fighting Ryan LaFleur. And Ryan LaFleur was at one point kind of a prospect,
Yeah.
kind of seen as the next Jake Shields, except for with a little bit better hands. And I think it was up until no, it was the Damian Maya fight, and then I think the fight that really put the nail in the coffin of his prospectship is the Oliveira fight, when Oliveira just put him out cold
Yeah.
in the
That's
third,
too.
and in the deep rounds too. I think that was what made it more impressive, was the fact that it wasn't early where it could be written off as he caught Ryan cold. No, he went deep in fighting with Ryan and still put him to sleep. So I think that really means the ship has sort of sailed on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Ryan's still a huge step up for Tony. I mean, Blair, he's kind of fading. I mean, not skill wise. He's not fading skill wise, but hype wise. But I think he's still definitely like solid fighter. I don't want to say gatekeeper yet, but he he can be one of those fighters that's going to be one of those names people recognize for a long period of time. You know.
I definitely think he's going to be hanging around the top 15 for a while. Like he's ranked 26 right now, but I can see him moving up because
Oh yeah,
170 is kind of like 170 is still pretty like it's a very volatile division.
it's
So all
shifting
you
quite
need is
a bit.
a couple wins and you're up there.
Yeah, that's one of those divisions where there's kind of been the same fighters in that division for a really long time, like these top guys that just seemed like phenomenal athletes, phenomenal fighters, and suddenly like you've got new fighters just emerging and taking over and challenging for the top or challenging for the belt. Till he was quick. He had a quick build up there, and same with Colby. These people are just coming out of nowhere. It's kind of weird for the 170 division too.
Yeah, it is because like they come up quick, but you look at their resumes and you're like, oh, they've fought in a couple of the names in the division, and they got wins over like people I don't even know, like
Yeah.
Warley Alves. Who the fuck knows who Warley Alves is? I'm sorry, hardcore UFC fans. I know most people do, but outside of the hardcore, like you go into fucking like Buffalo Wild Wings. Hey, do you know who Warley Alves is? Who? Sergio Moraes? Who?
Who are these people?
Right. I think that's my cousin. No, god damn it. No.
Oh,
But I definitely think LaFleur's going to maul the shit out of Tony though. Like he may have been knocked out and may have been manhandled by Damian Maya, but I mean I don't think Tony can crack like Alex, and get out of here if you think Tony can wrestle him down and control him like Maya. So
right.
for this one I would pick LaFleur by decision all day.
Yep, I
Or
absolutely would definitely pick LaFleur.
by decision, or watching how Tony got like just manhandled against the cage, I'd say like third round third round TKO, like ground and pound TKO.
I can see that.
And then
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a decision fight.
yeah, LaFleur kind of likes to play it safe, and Tony's very volume, but he likes to fight out of the clinch a lot. He can crack and he can work from the outside, but he likes to be in the clinch and likes to be tight
Right.
because he's a pretty decent jiu-jitsu black belt. But I mean, like, I just don't see him being able to do anything to LaFleur. Like, and like if you get out muscled against the cage by someone like Albon, you're definitely gonna get mauled against the cage by someone like LaFleur. Like
Yeah,
that's for sure.
he's bigger. He's
Not
a lot
only is he bigger, but he's an excellent wrestler too.
bigger. Right.
Like honestly, his takedowns when he sets them on, they're pretty good. They're up there with some of the best in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
And from an interesting fight to a slightly depressing fight, we have Gray Maynard versus Nick Lentz. And holy shit, if you were just looking at their records and you didn't know anything about MMA, you would think that Nick Lentz is the veteran.
Right. It's kind of mind blowing. What gets me? Actually, I'm not positive. Is this fight gonna be at featherweight then?
No, Lentz has been back at 155 for a while.
Okay, well, because I know Gray dropped down to featherweight supposedly, or
Yeah, but he
that
went
says
back
here.
up.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
says one.
it's saying, yeah, Lentz dropped or went up from 145 to 55, like around. Yeah, I think after his second Charles loss. Yeah, after his second fight with Charles, he went up to 155 and has been doing pretty decently since.
Yeah, he's not been doing bad at all. This
No,
fight's kind of mind blowing. I just I don't know. I think like 145 Lentz definitely would have had it easy, but even at 155,
He's
I
doing
just,
all right,
I just hate to say it. Gray's getting up.
dude.
Like, yeah, doesn't have a massive amount of losses, but it's like 50%. Uh,
Oh, well, I wouldn't say it's so much as losses. I would say it's those 3 fights with Edgar.
oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Condit, Lawler, and Rory McDonald fights. I think those wars were all
JDS
kind of
Velasquez.
completely changed everyone. Yeah.
Those JDS Velasquez ballings.
Oh yeah. It's just,
Dude.
but I think, yeah, I don't see Gray winning this. He's dropped a lot. It's not even like stat wise. If you just watch him, you're like, oh, it's not the same Gray I remember.
No, he's like hardly shooting for takedowns anymore. That was like one of his things that he would. I remember like even though he had like pretty shitty boxing, he would do this awesome like leaping uppercut and get the guys to like throw their hands up to block, and then he
Right.
would just drop and hit this blast double and put them on their ass.
Yeah.
Like that was what Gray was like known for. Now he just tries to throw that right hand.
Yeah,
He's
he
just
just
trying to
goes
hit him.
over and over again. And you know what? That fight, Lentz has he lands like three strikes a minute average, which is a decent average to have. I think Connor's like 5 or 4, and Khabib is like
Yeah.
5. But and Gray gets hit like two and a half, 2.5 like per minute, which isn't the best stat, especially against someone who's gonna throw a little more volume than some of the fighters he's fought before.
And let's be honest, like as much as I dislike Lentz, I don't know why. I just can't bring myself to like him as a fighter. I'll admit he's entertaining, but just there's some about him that rubs me the wrong way.
And we
But
all have one of those guys.
like he is a bit more crafty. He has a bit slicker footwork, understanding of feints and timings, things that he will set Maynard up into traps and be able to put him to sleep.
Yeah, he
I'm
doesn't look like he's slowing down either. Like he still looks like he's kind of at the top, like as far as his own game goes.
yeah. I wouldn't put him up there as like contending for a title at 155, but I think he could have himself an entertaining run within this next year or two. I mean, because if he starches Gray Maynard in a pretty entertaining way, he's definitely going to get a bit more recognition.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because Ray
Like,
still has a name, He was never like
yeah,
a star, but he's definitely one of those names where people see Gray Maynard and they're like, oh, that's him. I know him.
yeah.
Real fans. People think of Gray and they think of his fights with Edgar.
Oh my God, Gray was, or the time he knocked himself out.
There's that too. We try to think of positive things, like the time he felt.
Yeah, that time was a good time. See, what sticks out to me in my head, is his fight with Guida.
No.
God, that fight was so bad. Like I remember everyone was so mad. Even Dana was like, "Fucking Jackson Wink ruins fighters."
Oh yeah. I really supported his hate for Jackson Wink too.
Oh, dude, I did too after that. Like, because when Clay Guida's like, "Oh, I'm gonna move to Jackson Wink to improve my fighting," I'm like, "Yeah." I'm expecting him to come out throwing crazy shit like John Jones and like be 10 times like way more vicious. No, just bounces around, pawing a jab. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Guida?
Yeah, it was It was something. It was definitely a lot more boring than any of us expected.
God, I wanted to die. Those are fights where I would like want there to be pride rules in the sense of being yellow cards for an activity.
Yeah, that was. Ugh. So anyway, move on. We
All
still
right,
got a whole card to go.
yeah. All right, we have Yana Kunitskaya versus Lena Flansberg, the Elbow Queen. How is she ranked 14th in bantamweight? Oh, yeah, because there's no one in that division.
Yeah, that's she's making a name for herself one way or another.
You know what? Someone's got to do it. And then she's fighting the soccer mom that got killed by Cyborg. I'm sorry, guys, but in the Tapology picture, she looks like your aunt or soccer mom that's had a little too much to drink. It's not the most flattering picture.
No, not exactly.
Yana Kuditskaya. Who? No, she isn't too bad of a fighter.
No,
Um,
no, she's not awful.
she really isn't actually. To be, if I'm gonna be 100% honest, like she's actually a really entertaining fighter. It's just it seems like she tends to make some shitty decisions when she's in bad spots, like trying to step on Tanya Evinger's. No, that was Tanya Evinger who stepped on her face. It was her who just like decided to like basically stand there against Cyborg. God, that was horrible.
Yeah, that
Like,
was. Uh,
and
uh,
the thing is, what's really a bummer about it is that Yana and Invicta really showed some really like good levels to her game. Awesome striking, really good submissions. Like she looked like a really complete fighter,
yeah,
hands down. But when they threw her to Cyborg, like, I mean, it was just so bad. Like as soon as Cyborg stopped her submissions and the takedown, it was just like no,
right.
run, throw in a white towel, get away.
Yeah, she was really like the definition of a body bag, and
Oh my god.
it was sad. And she's
uh,
still got plenty of potential. She's still good, but that
10 and
fight's
4.
definitely gonna leave like that little asterisk by her name. People are
It
gonna think
was.
of that for a long time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I mean, the thing is though, like they're both women that have fought Cyborg, so I'm curious as just to how they're gonna fight each other.
Right.
Like, do you? I'm wondering if they're gonna have a little extra like heat coming in there. Like, well, fucking, I lasted longer against Cyborg than you did, bitch. 'Cause I'm pretty sure Lena went 2 rounds with Cyborg.
Yeah. That's pretty much what you have to do when it comes to Cyborg. You just have to like fight for who lasted the longest.
Right? If you went against her, yeah, round 2.
Hell.
Knew it. So good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a decently interesting fight. The thing is, Lena does tend to land a decent amount of strikes, and Yana tends to get hit a decent amount of.
she's she's a less skilled version of Holly Holm. Like if Holly Holm wasn't super serious about her kickboxing karate background,
Right.
she would be Yana Kunitskaya. I'm just being honest. They they fight very similar, but they also are training partners. I
Yeah.
think where it's gonna come down to the big difference in this fight is who controls the clinch. Because that's where I mean, Lena was fucking ballsy for it, but I give her props for at least trying to fight Cyborg in the clinch, which
Yeah.
is like what everyone tells you not to do. It's like, oh, you're gonna fight Cyborg? Yeah, stay out of the clinch,
Do not
stay at range, don't try and take her down, stay at range,
she
move.
will.
Yeah.
She's just too damn strong.
Yeah, but what does this crazy Swedish bitch do? She just marches in there, gets in the clinch, and starts swinging back at Cyborg. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm impressed, but I think, you know what? I gotta go with Yana. I'm not with Yana, but Lena though. Lena, I don't know if she can get a stoppage. Like stoppages in women's divisions kind of are rare unless they hit like a Mack truck. But
Yeah,
I definitely can see her putting a sunning on Yana in the clinch.
yeah.
If
I
Yana doesn't keep it at range, she's gonna definitely maul her with those elbows.
yeah, I think Lena's definitely gonna win it. Of course, it can go both ways. It really comes to who follows their game plan the best and who can force their game plan onto the other opponent. But as far as like what I see style wise, I definitely see Lena being the one.
Yeah, Lena just has the better style to beat her. It's style matchup for style matchup. Like Yana gets backed up a lot. She lets herself get backed up a lot. The clinch is there for her, and she'll even invite the clinch. So those are all things that Lena likes in a fight. Alright. And after that, going up the prelims a little more, we have Alon Patrick versus Scott Holtzman. Admittedly, I haven't watched much of either of their fights.
I was about to say, I honestly, I mean, as bad as it sounds, I don't know a whole lot about either of these guys.
So let's check out their records just to see, brush up real quick on how they've done in the UFC. Within the UFC, starting, so he's only dropped 2 losses.
They were like the two
Dober and
serious,
Emmett.
yeah, the two serious
Yeah.
contenders. I'm not even contenders, but competition. You know, he lost
Yeah.
both.
I mean, to his credit, they were by decision.
That's true.
So I think he really got to sway that in his favor as this dude is tough as fuck. And he probably used a lot of wrestling in them.
Yeah.
Beat Daryl Horcher. And then Alon Patrick, I've seen some of his fights, not a whole lot. And he is a guy that will really like to go for the takedown. He does have the ability to get caught off the back. Like if you're on your back and he's taking you down, he has the tendency to get caught in arm bars a lot. So I think that's something if Holtzman's camp is smart, they probably really focused on the fact that Alon will give up submissions, so you will tire yourself out while he's just kind of chilling there in hopes of you like letting go or whatever.
Right.
But he definitely really likes to go for a takedown. So
Yeah. Win over McDeesey. Not bad. Stevie Ray.
no,
Really
got
not.
stopped by Tysonov. That's really his only mark.
Yeah.
And that was back when Tysonov was feeling giddy and stopping everyone. And then he stopped for some reason. So salty about that Desmond Green fight. Everyone was like talking about it, like, oh, Desmond Green, Tysonov, it's gonna be a banger. Tysonov's knocking everyone out. And I'm like, alright, let's see it.
Let's see it.
Fucking
Okay, never mind.
yeah, alright, cool. Good fight, kids.
You did good.
But you know, I think really this fight's gonna come down to who has the better striking, because both these guys are pretty wrestle happy. But Alon Patrick is a jiu-jitsu black belt. Scott Holtzman, I don't know. So, Hard to tell. Hard for me to tell.
Yeah. And next we got the Avenger vs. Lad.
So, you know what? Lad looks like a kid. Like, she looks like your 16-year-old niece that just started kickboxing, and then like they took like class kickboxing photos or whatever, and that's what it looks like, is those composite photos as a kid when you go to martial arts classes, like
Right.
smile. But this bitch is bad. I mean, bitch in all the positive,
In the most positive
man.
way.
Yes, every positive way I can say it. She is one bad lad. God. And against Tonya Evinger, you know, this fight is. I think this fight is a possible fight of the night. Personally,
Yeah, I mean, they both go for it. That's kind of.
yeah,
I
mainly
mean,
because anyone who's watched Tonya Evinger fight, that bitch throws down. Like,
yeah,
she throws down.
yeah. She don't care who it is. She don't care how threatening you are. She's gonna at least go in there and try,
Oh my god,
as we've
right?
seen before.
Mom bod and all.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Especially up at the featherweight, it was a little frightening.
Oh yeah, I don't want to see her back at featherweight for a long
No,
time.
no, I did not like that. I mean, it just didn't look like she was even in shape for the fight.
No, no. And I don't know, like this fight is interesting to me because it's kind of one of those old guard versus new generation fights.
Right.
Because Tanya Evinger's been on the, like, she's only 19-7, admittedly, but she's been fighting since like Tay and Shayna and Roxanne were still like in Strike Force.
Yeah, she's been there, like she's been out there for quite a while. Aspen's definitely a little newer. Uh,
She's
it's gonna be interesting to see them go. I'm kind of excited about it. It's kind of I like Aspen. She's a volume striker compared to a lot of the other women. She'll go out there and throw a lot more volume than a lot of them tend to do, which is kind of interesting. But she takes a lot of hits also.
I I like the fact that she uses a wide range of kicks. She uses hook kicks. Like, I love the fact that she will use like front leg hook kicks off of her jab. The way she will throw spinning kicks. Like, the chick is definitely potential contender material. Like,
Yeah, she's just got to figure out how to not get hit as much.
yeah, like there are some girls in 135 who can crack.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely in that top 10 too. It gets very frightening with how hard some of them girls tend to hit.
yeah,
It scares
yeah, like,
me.
dude, it is pretty terrifying. But like, I mean, I like the fact that there's newer blood in the 135 division, though, because the women's 135 pretty much ended up having the same problem that like a lot of the men's weight classes did have until recently, which is where they were overcrowded with the same people.
Oh, no kidding.
Like, women's 135 was so fucking shallow, and now it's actually got some depth to it, and there are some really solid fighters there that could give
Yeah,
Amanda a real good like title fight.
finally. Yeah, it was just that division just was not growing or no evolution to it for too long. So it's great to see something happening.
But I mean, though, like, I think that's why like champions in a sense need to lose, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
It's
this,
a lot since Rousey lost.
Well, I think the reason is because when you see a champion be dethroned and dethroned the way Rousey was, you see that, oh, there's a way to stop this game. There's a new evolution here, and people start applying it. Like the
Yeah,
fucking low line sidekicks. Like,
right.
everyone's using those now.
Oh yeah,
Oblique kicks, everyone's using those now. Fucking, like, there's all kinds of things that are people, a lot of these newer generation are bringing in that people are adapting to the game, and I personally love it. I think it's something that is what makes the sport so unique. Like, you really don't see it in boxing where a champion loses and then the whole, like, game in general, like, will change their approach to the way they train and fight. Like, you rarely see that.
no. Yeah, it's great to see the way things have changed, you know. I'm interested in the flyweight division too for men, but I mean, we'll talk about that a little later, of course. But
Yes,
great.
that's gonna be a great fight.
I
And
mean,
so,
yeah, I love champions having a long reign too, but it's also great once they're dethroned.
yeah, it really is. I like to see things be interesting. And 170 fight. This 170 fight, honestly, I think is gonna be. We're gonna see some blood in this one. Because I went back and watched tape on Jalen Turner, and I've been following Vicente Luque for a while now. He's one of my favorite guys in 170. I think he's a total dark horse too.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Turner to be honest, but the Silent Assassin is always someone that you want to watch.
Oh, dude, he is like must see TV. Like, and honestly, it's a little mind blowing to think about how little recognition and how little of a push he has.
Right. Yeah, he
I
really
mean,
should get more push and I mean, he's the type of fighter that UFC wants people to watch, you know. He's the type of fighter
yeah,
UFC wants to put on a show and he does it, but yeah, he's just not quite up high enough, I guess, to get the attention.
right? Like, it, go watch Bilal Muhammad versus Vicente Luque. Like, you think Bilal Muhammad is a slick kickboxer with tight punching? Ooh, watch that fight, son. You will see some shit. That fight blew my mind. I mean, Vicente Luque has had a couple. I think he's had a few losses within the UFC. I know he lost to Michael Graves on the finale, but Michael Graves is another one of those guys that is dangerous everywhere and can do it all.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, his last loss was to Leon Edwards, so he's only lost twice within, as twice that I'm aware of in the UFC, to Michael Graves and Leon Edwards, both guys who are jab heavy and like to chain wrestle.
Yeah,
So that's actually one thing that's weird about Leon for me is the fact that he can fucking like actually wrestle. Like I don't know. He's built like a dude who would just go in there and kickbox people's faces off and not even try to wrestle.
right.
But
He can.
he takes people down. It's
Yeah.
so weird. Yeah. But I watched Jalen Turner on the Contender Series, and he's all right. He's not.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, kind of like Aspen, where he tends to get hit more than he should. But
He gets like if the guy he was fighting on the Contender Series had some pop in his hands, he would have starched him with a few of those combos.
yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how he puts up against the Silent
Listen,
Assassin.
dude, and especially with that like dynamite of a left hook he has,
Right.
like that is one of those punches where it's like it it's never been about like timing. He just has that power, but ever since he's learned timing, he's now just like wrecking people with it. and
Yeah,
it's pretty scary.
it is. It's great though. I mean, it's great for
No,
us.
it is. It's great though because it creates a lot of interesting matchups going forward though for the 170 division if he can get somewhat of a push or some recognition.
Right. Yeah, I definitely see Vicente winning that one though.
Yeah, like I'm kind of I don't like the fact that he's fighting Jalen Turner, and it's not even a slight against Jalen. It's just the fact that this is his fucking UFC debut.
Right. Yeah, it was quite the debut to make.
Yeah, like I get what they're trying to do because they fed fucking Kevin Holland to Thiago Sanos, and that
Right.
turned into an amazing fight. But not everyone's Kevin Holland.
That is very true. That is very, very true.
So,
Uh, it's gonna be. It should be a fun fight. That's all I
oh,
have to say.
definitely. I think Vicente is going to stop Jalen.
Oh yeah.
Mike is going to stop him in the first for sure too.
Yeah, nothing against Jalen. I see Vicente doing that. He's
Oh,
he's pretty underrated as far as like people really rate him, and I mean I can see why he doesn't have the best record or anything, but when you watch him fight, he's definitely got skills.
yeah, he is one of those guys whose record is extremely deceiving. Like you look at it, 13-6 with one draw, you're like, oh, what a bum. Nah. Look at the people he's beat. Look at the people he's lost to. Like
Yeah.
he's got a pretty decent resume, and I would definitely like to see him get a push if he can like pick up some more notable wins. I think he definitely would shake
Oh,
up the top 15 to top 5.
oh yeah, easily. But I mean, I guess we'll see. Unfortunately, now we're in that day and age where records pretty much means everything to people. I mean, you go online and you see people saying, "Oh, BJ Penn isn't that good. Look at his record." And it's like, well, hold up here. Like, BJ Penn's still one of the best ever, just because he continued fighting when he shouldn't have, and he fought people way bigger than him. Like, I mean, I guess these people aren't the type of people that know he fought Machida, though.
Yeah.
Or like Mark Hunt. A lot of people are like, "Oh, is Mark Hunt overrated? He doesn't have a great record." It's like, yeah, but have you seen him fight some of the best people in the world?
Yeah, like that's anybody who knows. Mark Hunt never started full MMA. He started K1 kickboxing, fighting the most elite of elite kickboxers, and that our generations will like ever know of.
Right.
Like fucking Andy Hoog, Ernesto Hus, Peter Ertz, fucking Racefo, their battle.
It's one of the best ones ever. I love that one.
Dude, the way they just would
Maybe,
blast
maybe
each
not,
other.
but just fun. It was great entertainment.
Easily one of the greatest kickboxing fights. Like, if anybody has the time, you need to watch Ray Sefo versus Mark Hunt. It is just a fucking classic.
Yeah, if you love entertainment, that's the fight for you.
Yeah, it is up there with the Don Fry versus uh whatever the fuck his name was.
Oh yeah, the little hockey fighting they did.
Yes.
I pick the Hunt versus Safa fight any day though. I love
Oh,
one.
yeah, that was a great one. So after that, little mind blowing that this is on the prelims and not the opening main card fight.
Right, but it is the headlining prelim, so at least there's that.
Yeah, like I still think girls should headline the prelims. Sorry, girls, but this is a way better fight. Sergio Pettis versus Husier Formiga.
Oh man,
This
I'm
this
pumped.
is one that is like I think people are sleeping on. Formiga's a dude that has been in the division for a minute, and he's gotten in there with a lot of names as of late. Like since he came into the UFC, when did he debut? Jesus Christ!
Yeah, look at
Back
all
in
of these
2012. 2012 he debuted. Yeah, he had a rough start.
Jorgensen. I mean, who wouldn't have a rough start though with those guys? And
Yeah,
even now, most fighters are going to have a rough time with any of them.
loses to Borg, but he's got two stoppages back to back. And rear naked choke in 125. That is some fucking skill.
Oh yeah,
Two of them, dude. I think catching submissions at 125 is probably some of the hardest people to catch. Yeah, this dude had a decent fucking record. He's like within the UFC, and he turned back a couple fucking prospects,
oh yeah. No,
and
he's great. People are definitely sleeping on him.
Pettis, and so like Pettis is kind of in that stage of where he like he gets two steps to put together and then takes 5 steps backwards to like the fighter he was before.
Right.
And like he'll show slight improvements, do stuff right, and like not really follow up on it. So, but
Yeah.
the thing is though, he's managed to win. He's managed to stay in the UFC, and
Yeah.
he's only what
25, I think.
25.
Yeah.
25.
Oh, and you know what? This last fight he had, the last victory, beating Benavides, no matter how you do it, is a huge accomplishment. That's the
Dude,
first loss Benavides has ever had as or against someone that wasn't a champion. You know, that's crazy.
yeah, Benavides beat Cejudo.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
and he
some people
barely
think
beat
it's the other
Cejudo.
way around, but either way, it was still like Benavides beat the current champion. He's never lost to other people that weren't the champion. You know, his only other losses were to Mighty Mouse and Dominic Cruz. And he's been
Yeah,
fighting for how long now? You know, he's been
since
fighting
WC,
since the WEC days. Like
like
he was
probably,
top people then, and then he came into the UFC and just stayed there.
yeah, like he's been fighting. I want to say since 2007, 2006. So almost like 17 or 10 years. 10 years now.
Yeah, that's just huge right
10 or
there.
11 years. Shit, it's crazy. This one is gonna be interesting though because Jussier Formiga, submission specialist, but he can mix it up with the best. Sergio Pettis, a little susceptible to the wrestling, a little susceptible to the submission.
Yeah, basically he's a Pettis.
Yeah, he is exactly like his brother. But I think he's he's starting to put it together though.
Oh yeah,
In the sense that he's able to like in that Benavides fight he was able to keep his like rhythm of striking, which is like when the Pettis brothers can keep the rhythm, like watch the fuck out, they're gonna take over on your
right.
ass.
Especially against someone as high end as Benavides, who was able to change it up so much. He's able to land heavy strikes too, not just strikes, but heavy strikes, and then he can go straight into grappling so smoothly. And the scrambles he has too, you know, like so to be able to keep a consistent rhythm and stuff against Benavides is huge.
Super huge. And also I think the fact that like he would turn Benavides' takedowns into scrambles and exchanges and clinches and stuff, like the way he was constantly able to redirect Benavides' energy in those exchanges was a huge, and for me, a huge mark in the positive for him as someone who can put it together and become a contender.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, personally, I think this is probably going to be one of the most competitive fights on the whole card. I mean, they're both phenomenal. They've both got really good defense, striking defense. They can land submissions whenever they want, you know. Like, they're both very talented grapplers. Of course, Formiga's got the better wrestling, though. But Pettis is still a Pettis. He's still got that random throw a submission when you don't expect it type of skill. Pettis is the better striker, but Formiga's able to mix it up still to help get into those or out of that kicking range. So I think it's going to be super interesting to see how that fight turns out. I got Pettis personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if Formiga landed something.
Yeah, I think Formiga, if he can close the distance and just really wear Pettis down and get a hold of him in the sense of like getting on his neck, getting like his back, he's definitely gonna have a chance at catching. He's definitely gonna have a chance to catch Pettis, but if Formiga can't close the distance and lets Pettis stay at range, it's gonna be a tough night, but it's gonna be extremely interesting though, because Formiga isn't a slouch himself. Like,
No.
I'm not saying he's got bad hands. It's just that Pettis does his best work at distance.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we said before, he's a Pettis.
Yeah, just like his brother, for better or for worse. And then we have two women with the most interesting names, some of the most interesting nicknames in MMA. The Karate Hottie versus Lil Bulldog.
Both of them very commonly use their sexual attraction to get fans.
Hey, you know what? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
You know what they're about. Elise Harry knows she has that body that a lot of people were all about, so
Oh
she
my
is.
god.
Michelle Watterson literally named the Karate Hottie, so that really shows
Right?
something. But, you know, they're both very entertaining fighters, too.
Entertaining, and I'd have to say Watterson, for as much as the thirst trap is real with her, she's an extremely intelligent fighter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. She stands out in the intelligence level in that division, for sure.
I think her issue, though, which has always been her issue, is the fact that she always gets out muscled to the ground,
Oh, yeah.
out muscled in the clinch.
She's coming from a lower division when she came into the UFC. UFC didn't have a division, but they were like, hey, we gotta have you, so she's fighting bigger girls than what she's typically fought before, and Felice Herrig isn't
Yeah,
a beat. Felice Herrig's a very strong woman. But
dude,
we've seen Michelle figure out how to defeat the whole muscling thing when it came to Paige Van Zant, so we'll see.
yeah, that's for sure. I think that what is going to be the biggest factor in this is Herrick's new love for takedowns.
Yeah.
Like, remembering back to Watterson's last fight where she got taken down a lot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she was attacking and doing stuff off her back, but Courtney was taking her down at will.
Yeah,
So it
not
was
like it for her.
no, like it was a tough fight, and they could have ruled it for Casey, and I wouldn't have been mad. Like, that's how close of a fight it was. But this fight it has the potential to go the same way though. Like, that's what I'm looking at it. Like, it has the potential of being a Casey Watterson too, in the sense that Watterson's gonna want to try and use her kickboxing, stay at range, pick her apart, and Felice Herrick's gonna want to get on the inside, use her Muay Thai, and take her to the ground and pound.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Herrig, if you were to ask me a year ago who would have won that fight, I would say Watterson all day. But now Herrick's she's starting to really show improvement finally, and it's
Yeah,
gonna be cool. It's gonna be
it
a
really
fight.
is. It is, dude. Like Herrig, like she used to have this awkward, well, not awkward, but kind of like some semi-conservative kickboxing style. Like she had pretty good. She's always had solid kickboxing, solid Muay Thai, but she never really like used defensive wrestling or offensive wrestling or really anything. She just wanted to stand and trade. But I don't know what it was. Like ever since that, when she came out in that the fight that I noticed it was when she fought Justine Kish, when she just wrestled the fuck out of her and just put her in the body lock till she shit herself. Oh my god, that's so bad. But
Oh, sad.
I mean, that is what comes into my mind though. Thinking about this is like Felice Herrig when she uses like that same tenacity and striking with her grappling, she can really fucking put it on you. It's surprising, and I think people are sleeping on her. As much as I'm kind of hot and cold on her, like fighting style and everything, like I think if she dominates Watterson, just one-sided wrestling clinic, she's definitely gonna move up. Not just move up in strawweight rankings, but like move up in like social media mentions. People are going to be talking about her for
Yeah,
sure.
she's faded off a lot since the Paige Van Zandt fight. A
Yeah.
lot of people kind of lost interest in her because the way she conducted herself all up to that fight. I mean, I think beating Watterson would be a huge step up again and bring her back into that spotlight. As long as she doesn't try out for American Ninja Warrior again, she's gonna be good.
Oh my god, dude. See, like I didn't even mind that, but like I felt sorry for her because apparently they didn't even air her episode.
Yeah, well, the first one, because she did two, I believe. The first
Oh
one
yeah,
aired, and she
yeah.
even make it past the first obstacle. The second one, I don't know how she did, because yeah, they didn't air it. I remember seeing a very angry post about it.
I remember that post too. I was like, you did it again? What?
Yeah, she
Why?
seems a lot more interested or a lot more focused though in MMA than she was the last couple years. So it's kind of
It's
nice.
really shown. Like, I gotta be honest though, like, I feel like Felice Herring is showing what Paige Van Zant could have been if she got serious.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't want to get too much into that right now, but definitely, I just feel Paige Van Zandt when she fights, when she's in the fight, she was very serious. But up leading to the fight, it seemed like she just cared about her popularity and fame more.
Yeah, yeah, but what I mean, like, is you don't, I mean, I don't follow her on Instagram, but to me it seems like you don't see Felice out there as much like pages, you know, like to me it seems like she's in the gym grinding more these days
Yeah. Yeah,
and
for a
trying to
while she
work
was.
towards.
Yeah, she was like another. I mean, she was what Paige is now. She was just posting half naked pictures or something, just constantly. It seemed like she was just more about gaining popularity on social media than she was about the fight itself. But now
Yeah,
you don't see it near as much.
Paige is on that thirst trap for real. It's kind of sad.
Paige Van.
Watterson though, yeah, Watterson though, like I don't know, like what is she in the UFC? I think she's lost two.
Yeah, she's beat good
Or
names and lost to hit like big names.
oh,
Torres and
she dropped.
Nunes.
That's what happened. Torres, yeah, Torres and Nunes and Torres, the only two.
Yeah, and obviously
Wow.
uh, those aren't huge losses. I mean, those are
No,
really hit big fighters in that division.
no.
Torres, like,
Torres,
she's crazy. You go through like a lot of the top women in that division, and Torres is usually like at least one of their defeats. It's
yeah.
pretty crazy. how many like top women in that division she's fought. I thought it was interesting during the tough episodes. You'd see, you'd look up these fighters that were fighting for tough, and Torres was in the house too, and each one of them had like a Torres loss, including Van Zant too, I believe.
Yeah, dude, she is a G. She's also another one of those girls that's been fighting for a while.
Yeah,
I think she started her career at 125, probably.
yeah. I think I'm not positive though. But, yeah, her Watterson's been around for a while too. Watterson was a name in women's MMA back when Bully Beatdown was a thing.
Back when she was, I think, a title holder for King of the Cage.
So she's definitely been around. I mean, she's been a name for a long time. She may not have like 30 fights or anything, but as far as like her career goes, it's been there.
Yeah. And then the fight after that, which, again, is another one that can go, that can either be a barn burner or a really tentative jab fest.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I like Derek Lewis because even when his back is spasming, he's still at least throwing crazy stuff, you know? Like, he
Yeah.
goes for it, and he's got so much power.
I see, this is hard for me to pick because, like, I personally love both fighters. Like, I think Lewis is entertaining easily. Like, if Hunt retires tomorrow, he could take his spot and being the guy to put in for like highlight reel knockouts.
Right. Oh, yeah,
Like,
easily.
easily. So, like, it's hard for me to pick against him, but also I want to see Volkov win because Volkov, he's held a title in Bellator. I think he held a title in M1, and if he can hold a title in UFC, like, I think that would be some shit that hardly anyone's done is hold titles in those three organizations.
Yeah. Oh, it's such an interesting fight. What's kind of crazy about this Clash fight and this Volkov, you know, he's a guy that throws a lot more volume compared to Lewis, but he also gets hit twice as much as Lewis does. Lewis doesn't throw as much, but God, he throws with so much power, and he doesn't get hit near as much either because people are tentative about that power.
Yeah. You know what comes to my head though, thinking of this fight, is when Volkov fought fucking Mighty Mo
Oh,
and slept him with this just over the shoulder head kick. Right
right.
on point. Just
Just
pow.
insane.
Yeah, see, like, that's the thing. Like, Volkov, he is one of those dudes that is, like, really long and lanky, but he knows how to use his limbs. He knows how to use his range, and he can fucking strike. He can crack people. And, like, the way he needles people up with his jabs to open them up and just slings those, like, kicks out of nowhere effortlessly, like, you can really see I believe, his karate background
Oh yeah.
coming into play. Like, the way he fights and moves and everything is just, he's very, very fluid for a tall guy. Yeah, he gets a little wild and sort of swings crude at times, but for his movement and everything, I'd have to say, for a guy at that weight class, is some of the best.
Right. Oh yeah. It's heavyweight fights are always tough to call because they're so big that anyone could be knocked out at any time. Derek Lewis fights are even worse because it's like, well, it's not that his performance is shaky or inconsistent. He goes in there no matter what. It's his health that is
Yeah,
inconsistent. So it's
yeah.
like
We
is
don't
Derek
know what
Lewis
Derek.
in looking good, or is he going to come in with major back problems? And I mean, don't get me wrong, that's big. Like a lot of fighters aren't even going to fight with back problems like he's having. So I don't know if he goes in there and he's doing good though. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think he's going to go for the knockout, and I think he could get it. Honestly,
You know, and he could definitely get it. It would be I would not be surprised if he did. I'd be a little sad, but I would not be surprised. But I mean, it wouldn't be that much of a knock against Volkov because everyone knows Derek Lewis can crack.
Yeah, he can knock out any one of those heavyweight fighters at any given time. If they make
Yeah,
one mistake, they could be out.
yeah, he's just got that power. But I think Volkov. I'm interested to see how Volkov approaches like this fight because of like the way Derek carries power deep into rounds and the fact that like he can hit you even if you like block it, that's still just this huge club bashing down on you.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's not fun.
no.
So I think if Volkov can employ some good movement, low line leg kicks, some like nice needling side kicks, and get Derek to like think about body kicks more often, he can sneak a head kick up there and really catch him off guard.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
See.
if if Derek puts that pressure on him early and doesn't let him have much space and Volkov isn't able to get set, I think Derek's going to catch him cold.
Oh yeah, I think Volkov's gonna come in looking good, but he's gonna get hit by Lewis and start to be a lot more hesitant.
Oh
But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll definitely see. It's like I said, it's always a sketchy fight to call for a heavyweight fight, but it's even more sketchy to call for Lewis just because his health.
Jesus, yeah. And from one sketchy fight to another, we have Oven St. Preux against the blue chip
OSP.
prospect, Dominic Reyes. Ah, yes, your favorite fighter, OSP.
Oh my gosh, I can't stand this shit. Hate it. I
Fucking
hate Greek life.
OSP.
I know it's like ironic because I was kind of part of a Greek life in college, but I fucking made fun of it all the time. I hated the fraternity stuff. Like, I hate the way they conduct themselves all the time, and they'll try to like defend themselves. If there's anyone following our page, they're gonna hate us after this because I really want to voice my opinion on them, but fuck going up there and doing this bullshit.
Oh my god. See, I didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was some like, like I said, like Tongans have their war dance. I thought it was like a Haitian thing. Like, yeah, no, it's fraternity. I was like, oh, that's lame. Fuck this
Right.
dude.
He's just going up here in the fight world and glorifying fraternity bullshit. It's just dumb. I can't
I
stand
just,
it.
when you told me he fights for like, or when you told me about him, his like post fight celebrations and how it's a part of a fraternity, like I could just imagine like all the fraternities that like he was a part of or like were around him and like he was with and stuff, like just gathered around to watch him fight, all
Watch it
doing
like
that.
this or
Yes.
however he does it.
Just a sea of bros and like polo shirts and khaki cargo shorts,
Yeah. I just
sandals with
generally
socks.
I hate the idea of them celebrating his win like it's their win.
We
and,
did it! We
and
did
knowing
it!
being like being or experiencing some of the Greek life firsthand, like that's totally how a lot of them are. Like, it's just, but personally, I mean, it's slightly biased anyway. Obviously, I see Dominic taking this fight. I think OSP has gotten by on his athleticism for a long time. And I've seen a lot of fighters that I think get by on their athleticism and a lot less skill than maybe some of the top fighters, but um, a lot of the top fighters weren't that athletic, especially in those heavier weights. And so I think OSP was able to take advantage of it, but I think Dominic is very athletic himself, but a better, more technical fighter.
he's someone who knows how to work behind a jab and not just jab as a way to work behind it, but like jab to set up combos,
Right.
jab to set something up. Like that's something I really like about Dominic Reyes is when he throws something, he's not just throwing it to throw it like OSP does. He's throwing it to set something up and to go into something. There's always a method to everything he does. An
Yeah.
OSP kind of just like it seems like he goes in there, feels them out, throws some stuff to get him to react, and then he tries and cracks them. And it's just wash, rinse, and repeat with OSP
Yeah.
until the other person stops him or just out wrestles him.
Oh yeah. And his
And
first strikes are typically good, but then once he starts getting into his twos and threes and stuff, then it just gets so sloppy looking compared to a lot of the like better strikers.
the way he lunges forward to throw his
Oh
overhand.
God.
So beautiful, though. So beautiful.
And
Leaving your
that
chin out there?
yeah, and that little cross he does to gauge the distance. I think against a technical striker like Dominic, doing that isn't really gonna do a lot of good for him.
And the dude knows how to use uppercuts, too. Like, that's the thing. I mean, it's so weird that we don't see it as much in MMA, but the uppercut strike, I feel, is so valuable. Like, as a like fight ending or a strike to really catch your opponent off guard, like you don't see it thrown a lot, and or you don't see it thrown from like when a guy's shelling up.
Oh yeah, no, it needs to be used more. You've seen like a few fighters who weren't great strikers take advantage of it, like Diego Sanchez versus Gilbert Melendez. When Diego threw that sudden uppercut, like nailed Gilbert and almost turned the fight around.
Yeah,
Almost the fight.
his uppercut from Mexico, the
Yeah, it
way
was
he would wind up with it.
like
Oh my god, so beautiful. Or the way, or that knockout of RDA they always play on Jeremy Stevens' highlight reel, even in 2018.
that was a mean uppercut.
Oh my god, that one was so bad. Yeah, but like this one is sketchy for me to call because OSP is one of those dudes who can crack people cold off the bat.
Oh yeah, he's
Like,
extremely athletic, you know.
yeah, and like he's got some really nasty head kicks when he decides to use them. Like when he decides to go for it, he can throw some fucking nasty head kicks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a huge jump in competition for Dominic, but
it
I
really
personally
is.
Dominic winning it, and I personally really want him to win it for other reasons. But
I want him to win it too because 205 needs new blood bad. Like I love OSP. You had your shot at the title. It didn't look good. It's
no,
time to move. It's time to let some new blood get in this top 10. I mean, Dominic's top ranked 15 right now. If he wins, he's looking at jumping up a few spots.
yeah, he's gonna be right on the edge of the top 10. He's gonna be almost
Oh yeah.
breaking into it.
Yeah. And I think that like it may be a little too soon, but not super soon. Like that too soon. Because he has been in there with some people who've had UFC experience themselves, and I think that
Like,
counts for something. Like his win over Derek Cannonier, and the way he stopped Derek Cannonier, who himself who really isn't a bad fighter. Like the dude is a solid fucking fighter, but he sunned him like nothing. It was like fucking fighting your brother.
right.
Oh. And so after this we
Yeah, moving on.
kick it. Yeah, moving on. Kicking it onto the co-main event. We have Dad Glasses versus Showtime.
Ted Glasses versus Showtime. That's I think a lot of people think this is just going to be a super easy win for Tony, which
Oh,
kind of blows my mind.
I feel like Tony even thinks it's gonna be a super easy win for him.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why because that slump Pettis has been on, but uh, Tony's a sloppy. I mean, his striking can be fun to watch, but he gets hit. He's not a sharp striker. He throws like this. His other hand's dropping way down here. He's lunging forward a lot. You see like the promo for the fighters. Every strike you see Ferguson throw, as soon as he throws one hand, the other one flops straight down. And then it goes to Pettis, and he's got the boxing. His hands are still up here. Even when he throws the kicks, a lot of times his hands are protecting him. And Pettis is still, I mean, even with all those losses he has, he's still one of the best strikers in the UFC. And Tony is not.
Dude, and not only that, but he's got one of the most underrated submission games in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
People don't talk
don't
about that more.
like Tony. I don't think Tony should have it in his head that Pettis can't submit him because, in my, I wholeheartedly believe, in my heart and mind, that Pettis can sub Tony.
Oh, yeah.
If he cracks him and Tony panic wrestles,
Right.
you can guarantee that fucking Pettis is gonna be able to handle it better than Venata did.
Yeah. No one thought that Pettis could freaking submit Benson either, or Gilbert. Like those two guys that have never been submitted before.
And
Two
those,
high level
yeah,
grapplers, and Pettis submitted both of them. And then we called the Chiesa fight too. No one thought Chiesa was
yeah.
gonna lose to Pettis. First of all, for some reason, they thought he was gonna grapple his way to win, and we were like, I think Pettis is gonna submit him. It
Oh
happened.
yeah, dude. I went into that fight. I was like, Pettis is gonna like fucking. I thought Pettis was gonna crack him and like guillotine him, not crack him and then take his back.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
that
that
was
was
awesome. I jumped up
it
and
was.
I was cheering because I was like, first of all, I love Pettis. I like watching him fight. He's a fun fighter to watch, but also because I was right. So
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it should be noted though, is that in those submission wins against Benson and Melendez, is it wasn't just like he went in jujitsu them. He fucking like stopped them on the feet, and then when they went for the wrestling, he caught them with the submissions. Like that is how good that is. Pettis at his best is when he is not worried about the wrestling. When he doesn't give a shit about the wrestling, you see Pettis like at his best off his back. Like easily, WC Pettis was one of the most dangerous 155ers, and people can lynch me for saying this, but I think WEC Pettis could beat Habib and McGregor.
yeah, I mean, I could see it. Especially the McGregor. People are really gonna hate that, but McGregor's whole thing is striking, and Pettis is still, like I said, one of the top strikers. It would have been a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, it would have. Too bad it came so late. But I mean, this fight though, I think if Anthony Pettis wins, it's going to be a huge redemption for him.
Oh yeah, and I could definitely see it happening. I mean,
It's
I'm not saying Tony doesn't have a chance. Tony's still the top, like you know, to some people he's the champion of the division, and
yeah,
then but Pettis is still like one of the most dangerous in that division. He could beat you on the feet, he could beat you on the ground.
dude, he had Poirier in trouble in so many positions. He stopped fucking Oliveira with a guillotine
Right.
standing. I think
The first
he was
first
doing pretty well against fucking um Holloway too, up until that fourth round, but
yeah.
he gassed.
Yeah, he never belonged in that division, let's be
No,
honest.
he's another dude who could really benefit from 165.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Like,
could see it.
like he's in his 30s now, so I'm pretty sure it's a little harder to get down to 155 still.
Hmm.
But I mean, Ferguson. See, this is the thing. I think Ferguson shines when he fights wrestlers.
Yeah,
I hate to say I may get lynched. I don't care. Ferguson has looked the best when he fights people who are predominantly wrestlers.
because Ferguson, he's a high level grappler. I mean,
No, I'm pretty sure Yves beat him.
yeah,
I'm gonna look at his record real quick, but I'm pretty like, yeah, it was early in his career, but like he hasn't like fought dudes who are like pure strikers like uh Edson, or not like Edson, but Pettis is like
yeah,
Edson is good, but he's not the striker like fucking Pettis is.
right,
Edson's one of those guys who crumbles under pressure.
right,
Anytime you fucking put him on the back foot, he will spin, spin, and spin till he can't do anything.
yeah. And people are probably gonna hate you for that, but just because Barboza beat Pettis. But I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest, isn't one of the best Pettises we've seen in that long streak of fights either.
that's who it was he lost to, not Yves. He beat Yves, but he lost to Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But the thing is, though, even though Johnson's like a wrestler, that dude has almost given up his wrestling and become a striker.
Yeah, yeah. He just used that athletic skills that he got pretty much.
Yeah, like he's one of those. So like because when you talk about Michael Johnson, I always think of him as a striker, not really a wrestler.
Yeah, yeah,
And so that's why it slipped my mind. Is like, oh well, technically Michael Johnson has a wrestling background and made his mark in wrestling, but as of late, the dude, like, once he got under Henry Hooft, he fucking became a pretty fucking solid striker. And he put it on showcase against Tony. And Anthony may not have the same pop as Johnson, but I think that is a testament to the fact that Tony doesn't do very well against people who are not scared to, like, trade with him.
right. And those, but I mean, maybe striking wise, he doesn't have that same pop, but those kicks come out of nowhere.
Yeah, like
Like,
when he fought Lozlon.
yeah. Ooh, man. And the fighters prepare for those kicks, but they still don't see them coming when they come.
Yeah, like this is a fight that like could be a deciding fight for really the next like who's gonna get the champion.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
I
this
mean,
this fight right here,
the
because
70,
you're gonna, because like you can't fucking tell me that they didn't just coincidentally have Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis on one card and then Poirier and fucking Diaz on the next card. And then
yeah,
with enough time for both of them to heal up and everything in between those fights before Habib gets his fight announced, yeah.
that's it's definitely gonna be a big fight for 155. It's gonna be a big fight for that night too. Uh,
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be great.
yeah. So the whole reason this card is taking place, our man of the hour, Habib Nurmagomedov, Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov. God, I hate his last name. I hate Russian last names so much.
Yeah,
Versus the notorious Conor McGregor.
nice,
Yeah,
solid.
yeah. Thank you. I'm coming for you, Bruce Buffer. Bruce Baffer, I'm coming for you. Be on
Yeah.
notice. And it's ironic that he's dropped all the way down to number 13.
Oh wow. Yeah, look at that. Although
Yeah.
I think in the actual UFC rankings, he's number one.
No, of course he is.
Yeah, of course, UFC, but they gotta
Yeah.
push their boy.
And this fight right here, dude, it's the ultimate clash of styles. And even after going back and watching their older fights, I still have no fucking clue who's gonna win.
Yeah, it's a true grappler versus striker matchup. It's old school almost.
God, this is old as old school gets. Like, fuck. I just don't like. Mainly because part of me wants to believe the whole like Habib has a weak chin narrative going on, but I went back and watched that Johnson fight. He didn't look that rocked.
No, a lot of people are really over exaggerating that, and it's probably because was it Rogan that said
Yeah,
he was hurt? Uh,
yeah.
no, if you actually watch that fight, there's no sound on. You almost couldn't tell. It looks like he gets hit,
No.
just steps back a little, reset.
Yeah, like
You know?
yeah, he really didn't get like it didn't look like he got that hurt in that fight.
Yeah,
And then like the best thing Barboza threw against him was that spinning kick to the body, and then Habib just marched him down after that. Like
yeah,
that was one of those moments like out of an action movie when you see no, not action but a horror movie when you see the guy try to make his last stand against the villain and he throws something at the monster and it fucking like hits him,
just
looks
he's marching
does nothing
forward.
and it just continues to kill him. It was like that.
It's a Friday the 13th movie.
It was. Good God, that's what Habib is like. He was like a mini Friday the 13th movie. Fuck. But like, also
That's
his
it's such a tough fight. That's because it really is. It's just whoever can stay up on their feet or get it to the ground. Like they have their very obvious advantages and disadvantages against each other. You know, that's what makes it so weird. A lot of people give Connor because first of all, Connor's Conor McGregor, but also because every fight starts on the feet. But
yeah.
they did back in the day too. So, and we still saw Royce Gracie make plenty of wins. Of course, it's a little different, but in the way it's the same because it's like this extreme striker specialist versus this extreme grappling specialist.
Yeah, it's something we haven't seen in a while. Like, a long while. Probably since fucking Coleman and Maurice Smith
Right.
was the last time we saw two fighters with two obvious advantages square off.
Hmm.
So, and I think what's going to be the biggest deciding factor is if Habib can keep this on the ground.
Oh yeah, easily.
And I think if, like, and not just like keep it on the ground for the full round, like just keep McGregor down for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes at a time. Like, if he can keep him down for extended amounts and punch him as well, like, because when I say Habib keeping people down, I'm not saying just holding them.
No.
I'm like, I imply
Oh,
like him dropping bows, punching you in the face, and like Habib is one of those dudes that has some scary fucking ground and pound.
yeah.
Like I his ground and pound fucking is terrifying. Like when he hits people, it sounds like when people get cracked standing.
Right. No, it's definitely he has really mean strikes from the ground. It's kind of like a Faber back in the WEC days when he would land from the guard or from guard, he would keep landing those bows, and it was just like, oh, what? How does that hurt, or how is that landing so hard?
Yeah, dude, it is crazy. It is crazy seeing Habib just maul people and the way he constantly adjusts and mauls them, adjusts and then mauls them again,
Right.
and doesn't stop.
Yeah.
But
I think if I mean when they're standing, if he keeps that like really quick forward pressure and doesn't lunge forward with strikes like he did in the what was it, the Johnson fight, I believe.
yeah,
He's gonna. I mean, that forward pressure is gonna keep McGregor's kicks from landing, but if he starts lunging for strikes like he does in that really sloppy way, it's not gonna look good because Connor's got very precise punches.
oh yeah, he's one of the top
Yeah, but
counter strikers today.
yeah, I think the body kick is gonna be McGregor's best weapon and what Khabib's gonna want to avoid as much as possible.
Yeah, I think Habib has probably been preparing for it too,
Mm.
knowing like, well, I mean, like looking back at the Mendez fight, it's kind of aside from the fact that it was a 2 week camp, but like obvious why McGregor started throwing a lot more of those kicks to the body the way he did, because if Mendez changed levels at the wrong time, he was gonna get kicked right in the fucking face.
Oh yeah, but also, I mean, it exhausted Mendez,
Yeah, yeah,
and
exhausted
Mendez,
him too.
yeah, Mendez just kept backing up and kind of letting it happen, you know. So that's the thing. If Khabib can keep that forward pressure without allowing Conor to counter a strike to the head, then it's gonna hopefully keep those kicks off of him, and then he'll be able to get those takedowns. And you know, if he capitalizes on the kicks and makes McGregor think twice about throwing those kicks, I think he's pretty much got the win.
Yeah,
But yeah, it
I
depends. I think if Connor knocks someone out or knocks Khabib out, it's actually going to be in the later second or maybe third round. It's not going to be a first round knockout like a lot of people think.
yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be when Habib is frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially if he's taking body shots over and over again, he's exhausted. Those hits are going to feel a lot harder.
Yeah, like if Habib decides to shoot in on McGregor and McGregor does the whole like give his back, shuffle to the cage, fights back, and just keeps like doing that whole sequence, it's gonna take a lot out of Habib if he
Mm.
keeps getting back up. Because I think, like Conor McGregor, I think he's definitely got the tools and technique to get back up from under Habib. Like I can see him doing it a couple times
Oh yeah.
because, like, I mean, he did it pretty effortlessly against Mendez. But I think the thing also is though, like Mendez is happy to ground and pound from inside your close guard, where
Yeah.
Habib likes to smash your legs down and get into side control or get into like half guard.
Yeah, Mendes or Khabib controls the legs and the wrists really well whenever he's transitioning and moving. Mendes can too, but Mendes, like, I mean, he did. He just mostly stayed in the guard, but he's also a lot smaller than Khabib. And I mean, when you look at it, when Mendes got him down and was trying to hold him down, Connor's best defense was talking to the ref and asking him to stand it up, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It really was a lot of that. Like, hey, stand it up. Make your car close,
He's like taking elbows to the head and he's like, hey,
dude.
he's not throwing strikes, stand it up.
Yeah, fucking who is it? Jakar Close was fighting Tamir, and fucking he was like, um, either talking to the ref about how there wasn't enough action, like he wasn't like coming at Jakar enough or punching Jakar enough on the ground or working enough on the ground, and he did it enough to where he got the fucking ref to like give fucking David a warning about it. I'm like, oh, that's cheap shit, Close. That's why I don't like him. Anyway, this but this fight though is gonna be something to like see play out, because it's hard for me to like sit here and definitively say, oh yeah, McGregor's gonna win by this or Habib's gonna win like this. Like I look at it and I can't tell you how. Like I can say if they do win, this is how it's gonna be. Like
Right.
if Habib wins, it's gonna be either by a TKO or a one-sided beatdown.
Yeah, it's
Like I
that
don't think he's
it's
gonna
a
be
tough
looking to
fight to
submit
call.
McGregor
No.
at all.
Probably not. I'm sure he's gonna wanna keep it going, but
And if
we'll see.
McGregor wins, it's gonna be a knockout,
Yeah. Yeah,
either
we
by
all know
body
that.
shot. But I think though it's gonna come by a body shot. If he stops Habib, it's gonna be for sure a body shot because Habib's proven to have a chin.
Yeah. See, I'm more on the fence. I think body shots are what's gonna lead to it. But I think the overall knockout's gonna be a TKO, and it's gonna be from tiring him out and then landing the head strikes, kind of like with Mendes. I think it's gonna be really similar.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good card either way.
Yeah, I'm
So,
pumped for it.
so have you been following boxing much?
Not for like years, not since the Maymac or Manny Pacquiao fight with Mayweather.
Oh,
After that, I
so
stopped.
well, I mean, I don't follow it as much as I follow MMA, but I've started following it a bit more.
Uh huh.
And let me tell you, heavyweight is really getting interesting.
Oh,
I
is
don't know
it?
if you, yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but Wilder versus Tyson Fury is going to be happening soon.
Really?
Hmm.
Huh. It could be a good fight. Tyson Fury's kind of
And
sometimes on
so,
the line.
oh yeah, but it gets better. I believe a clause on it is like the winner is fighting Joshua.
What?
Yeah, so like this is going to be like some serious shit going down when they fight because if Wilder wins, he will be holding like all the fucking like he'll be holding all the chips, dude, if he wins.
Yeah, that's.
Because people
Well,
have been
that's good.
sleeping on him forever
Oh yeah.
and people are like, "Oh, he's sloppy, he's sloppy." I'm like, and well, when you have arms that long, your straights are gonna look a little awkward, okay? Like your straights are gonna be fucking awkward looking. But if you go back and like really watch his fights, he doesn't start getting like totally wild till he has them hurt. Like that's when he starts like really just going wild, trying to get this going for the stoppage. Is when he has the dude hurt. And so like I think that it's gonna be a fucking interesting ass fight because Fury's one of those guys who makes fights awkward.
So awkward.
He makes fights so fucking awkward with the way he like moves and jabs and like switches angles and the way he also like uses his shoulder angles like he'll fucking like for a big guy he almost uses like a Floyd Mayweather stance and movement and it's fucking weird to watch
Yeah,
like his
he's just such an awkward fighter to watch. Like, just so weird.
yeah but he's made it work he's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
made it work
Obviously.
so like those two are gonna fight. And there's this other guy, Dillian White, who's on the radar, who recently won a title, and he also beat Joseph Parker, who was the guy who was the guy who fought fucking Joshua the weekend before or Wilder fought Ortiz.
Hmm.
And Parker, I believe, was the WBO champion, undefeated out of New Zealand. I believe all his wins were stoppages. Real heavy hitter, still a solid boxer, but he lost to Dylan White. And Dylan White is a guy that I believe his only loss. I don't know how many losses he's had. I just know he's had a significant one against Anthony Joshua. But
Right.
in Dylan's defense, their first fight was their well, they fought twice now, once in the amateurs and now as a pro. And Dillian fucking cracked Joshua and put him on stilts. But he got overzealous trying to put him away and ended up gassing himself out. And Joshua came back and put White away.
Hmm.
So, but he's worked this was like back in 2015, I believe. So, he's worked his way back up since then. So, like boxing, like heavyweight boxing right now is starting to really like have some new life breathed into it.
It's
Like,
good though. It really needs it. I don't know.
yeah,
The only fighter I really watch in boxing anymore is sorry, I might butcher his name, but Lomachenko.
Oh, that dude is really something.
The way he moves is next level, like just mind blowing.
They're they're thinking of having this one guy who's a 3 weight champion challenge Lomachenko, Mikey
Hmm.
Garcia.
Yep.
Dude,
See ya.
you know Mikey Garcia?
Yeah.
Mikey Garcia is a bad motherfucker. He is a bad dude, and they're thinking of having him fight Lomachenko or someone else.
Yeah.
But
I love that. Honestly,
I would
think
love to
it's
see
so
Lomachenko.
cool to watch.
I like Mikey Garcia too because he's super gritty, but
Yeah.
he's also super fucking technical. Like
Yeah.
he's so technical the way he gets in there and just like uses his like footwork and head movement to like set up his punches and get offline just a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. That's something that I want to see in boxing. That would make me watch boxing. Definitely.
Dude, I think boxing is starting to pick up cues from MMA as of late. In the sense that like they're starting to cater to what fans want to see instead of like what promoters want to see happen.
Right.
Like, you think about it, you know, how long did fucking Pacquiao Mayweather take to make happen?
So long, like 10 years.
Yeah,
Insane.
now fucking like in this current era, you've had uh Canelo versus Triple G twice,
Twice. Yeah.
Lomachenko, yeah, and then you've had fucking Anthony Joshua. He's fought like a handful of like super fights, and then you have another one. That's coming up. I think it's in November. I think it might be in November. So like these are a lot of fights that they're making inside of boxing right now are fights that like fans want to see because these are like some of the top champions that are going to fight each other.
Right.
And like if you look at MMA, they've been doing that. Like the top fighters are always fighting each other. The champions always fighting
Yeah.
the top
You're not,
contender.
you're not feeding a bunch of cans to the very best striker unless you're Bellator and your name is MVP. But
Yeah,
you're getting the top competition. Like people are like, hey, this guy can beat him. Let's watch this fight. Compared to boxing, where it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that fight makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Boxing. It seemed like after after the era of the four, Hannard, Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, and Duran, and the era of uh, Roy Jones Jr., all those guys that like people still talk about today. It seemed like after that, the having a zero on your record meant more than having legitimate fights on your record.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Back in that day, like back in those days, boxing was something, man.
Yeah. Like
It
yeah,
was insane.
there was still some pristine to having your O back
Yeah,
then. But like back then there was like a huge wealth of boxers and there were a lot of killers like today's MMA scene. If you look at fucking Pettis's record 21-7, if you look at that on a boxer, you're like, oh, who's that fucking scrub? But
right?
You look at Anthony Pettis's 7 losses, those are some legit dudes he's lost to. You
Yeah,
know, like you can't in MMA you can't write off somebody for losing 2 or 3 fights or like 4 fights. Now if they're losing a gang of fights in a row by bad stoppage, then it's time to question them. But
right.
this is a sport where it's so much like the win to loss ratio is so much greater than boxing. But like I'm excited to see new life breathe into the American boxing scene because to me it's been so dead for so long.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
it's still
it's not a sport that a lot of people watch, you know? I mean, my parents before me, they absolutely loved boxing back then, but they wouldn't bother pulling up a boxing match now. Not even close.
yeah,
Hell,
yeah. Most of
I used to watch boxing growing up. I haven't watched it in years now. I mean, I've watched some fighters, but as far as like this whole scene, it's kind of just died away from me.
yeah. Like, I mean, I follow it just for the sake of it being a combat sport, and I personally like. I love watching two extremely good boxers box.
Yeah,
Fuck, it's so amazing to watch two guys who have an extremely good understanding of the sweet science throw down for like 12 rounds.
right.
Like I can go back, even though I'm salty about the decisions, I can go back and watch both Canelo and Triple G fights and be entertained.
Yeah, that's very true.
But like I think though that it's boxing and MMA sort of at this point sort of need to stop their rivalry and accept that they're just two different branches on the same fucking tree.
Yeah, boxing's not gonna die, guys. MMA
No,
is not gonna die. It's like this whole
neither.
thing is dead thing is kind of ridiculous. It's gonna keep going.
Yeah, like when I say it's like boxing is dead, I mean like its popularity in America. Like how many?
Exactly.
If you were to pull up like fucking your local Access TV right now, how many boxing matches would be lined up as opposed to MMA fights? Like
Right.
the access of MMA is so much easier than boxing these days. It's just more popular.
Yeah.
Boxing, I think, is always going to be around. Like you
Oh yeah.
can't kill it. You
It's
can't.
it's definitely not gonna just suddenly die like